our prayer poem. All right, so mute yourselves if you would. Nothing going on. This is the same prayer that I read you last week from Tasha Silver. Divine Beloved.
Wait, can anybody hear her? We can't, no.
Okay, she's there now.
Okay.
Did I go somewhere?
Yeah, you did. I put mute all and it muted you too.
Maybe I don't want to give you the power.
Too late.
I'll start again. This is the same poem as we did together last week, poem prayer. Divine Beloved, allow me to give with complete ease and abundance, knowing that you are the unlimited source of all. Let me be an easy, open conduit for your prosperity. Let me trust that all my own needs are always met in amazing ways, ways beyond my imagination, and that it's safe to give freely as my heart guides. And equally, let me feel wildly open to receiving. May I know my own value, my beauty, and my worthiness without question. Let me allow others the supreme pleasure of giving to me. May I feel worthy to receive in every possible way. Change me into one who can fully love, forgive, and accept myself, so that I may carry your light without restriction. Let everything that needs to go, go. And let everything that needs to come, come. I am utterly your own. You are me, I am you. We are one, and all is well. And so it is. Thank you, Tasha.
You could almost add the Barney tune to the end of that.
The Purple Barney tune?
Yeah. We are one, you are two.
Oh, gosh, I've forgotten. That's a lot of years ago.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, totally. But I have a vision of the Purple Barney. Yeah. Okay, couple of agendas tonight. Number one, I want to do a check-in because, we got so much rich learning and growth and exciting things happen. I just want to put it all into the melting pot. So think about what you would like to put into the pot. You can put into the pot some new awareness that you're having, some excitement, some ways the dominoes. Marcus, I found, I was trying to clean up my computer and I found that video that you posted a long time ago with the dominoes. Do you remember that? And the little domino and the bigger one and the bigger one and the bigger one? Yeah, and you just gave a little push to this tiny little domino and it would meet the next one and push it over and push the next one over. So by the end, this tiny little domino was pushing over this huge, incredible domino. And I thought, this is just like our work, right? We just start working on the little domino and that falls and these major big transformations happen. So that was exciting. Thank you. So yes, or you could throw into the pot a question that you would like me to talk about, Corby to talk about, the group to talk about. We're at the stage of this program where we've got so much wisdom now and so much experience and so many ideas that we can all contribute to this pot of learning that we're creating together. So yeah, it could be a contribution to the pot. It could be a question. It can be whatever, whatever ask, whatever need you have tonight. And then finally, this evening, I want to make sure that we cover off the whooping. I've been talking about whooping and I've been saying whooping in some session notes. Well, it's time to actually say what whooping is. So, and then I just want to say a little bit maybe at the very end because we're now just starting into months 7 and 8, right? And I want to just assure you that we're working already on months 7 and 8 and months 9 and 10. So to just make sure you understand that there's no big, huge new pieces coming down the pipeline, that there's one more reading that I want you to do, but no, but we've got our advanced practitioner sessions, our mentoring sessions, that's all underway. So I'll just say a little bit more about that. Probably pretty well the same thing I just said, but I'll say it again. Okay. Who's on first?
Heather. She's in my top left corner.
Hi there.
Hey.
Well, it's been a really great week.
How great has it been?
Well, you know what? It's just been just having a lot of cognitive shifts. And since working with my professional, not mentor, but
Yep.
you know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
I've just had all these little shifts happen. And it was really great because she encouraged me to email her, sort of between sessions. And so I was able to so I've also been doing a lot of writing.
Good.
And I think that's been really helpful to just because there's just been so much kind of information coming through. And so there were a couple of, sorry, I thought I could do this without this, but apparently not. Yeah, so, what was it last week? Well, anyway, so this week, I can't remember what the shift, last week there was something too, having to do with my dad. But this week, what I got was the shift around realizing that I had this disconnect from creating relationships with animals. They had always been I'd been very close to them. They'd been some of my best friends growing up, but I couldn't get the same closeness with them. And I just, kind of kept them at arm's length. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that I really realized until this week that I was doing the same thing with people.
Nice.
And, and so it was a big shift to realize, I didn't realize that I was doing that.
Beautiful.
And, I was wondering why I couldn't have certain types of relationships with people. And it was like, it's because I've got this wall up because I don't want to lose anybody else.
Right.
I don't want to lose one more. I just can't handle one more loss.
Beautiful.
And so if they're far away, it's okay because, but too close. And then it's like, I'm going to get attached and then it's going to hurt. And so
it's a beautiful illustration of a protective part of us and the strategy that it uses to keep us safe.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you.
And then I'll just add one little piece because I had some questions about
Good.
When I woke up, I had these 3 images and the snake.
Yeah.
And the sense about the snake, and this thing was huge. I mean, this was like an anaconda out of a horror movie. But I was neutral about it. And it felt like a gift because it was like, here's these 3 memories to work on to release the blocks that you're working on right now. Beautiful. Here's a little image to work on. And then the snake is going away. It's like it's taking all this blockage and
beautiful
black stuff, and it's just like slithering away. And so that here's this giant snake just taking all this stuff away.
Yeah.
And
so it sounds like your relationship with the snake wasn't actually neutral. It sounds like there was a sense of appreciation or gratitude or acknowledgement of the role of the snake.
It came after. So in the morning, it was sort of neutral. But then as I thought about the situation, then that's when the gratitude came. And it was interesting. So I had somebody that I told this to, and they said, they kind of made sure that I kind of shared my impression of things and how I felt about the snake and all that first. But they said that, snakes are wisdom, and that they're also, she asked me what kind, and it's a constrictor. So she said it's sort of like it's squeezing the most out of life.
Mm-hmm.
And that felt very apropos to it, because it's sort of like I'm trying to learn the most that I can from these experiences so that I can release things and move on and get the most out of life.
And not be so constricted. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's nice too. Yeah.
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 Lovely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Amy.
Sorry. Oh, no, okay.
Hey, Amy.
Hi, you guys can hear me?
Can do, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so just for me, with my little ones being sick last week, I just feel like I've had some cognitive shifts too. I feel like there's been a lot of melting for me. A lot of my frozen parts I've actually been quite emotional, which I've said, I don't cry very easily. So,
Yeah. Past tense.
it's been interesting doing some work and noticing just a lot of awareness that I'm very grateful for. And I feel like part of me is really waking up finally and trying and just my awareness. And I'm really enjoying reading. I got Dawson Church, the Mind to Matter audiobook.
Good.
So I can listen to that. And then I'm reading the other books. So I'm finding his stuff, a lot that I'm taking away from that. It's very, a lot of it's scientifical. So some of it goes over my head, but I do find it very interesting. So yeah.
That's great. Good. Yeah. Good. And any questions? Anything you want to put into the pot for discussion?
I couldn't really think of anything. No.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. You'd be glad to know that Dawson's book, Mind to Matter, is one that qualifies for this reading that I'm talking about for the last part of the program. So you're right on.
Oh, okay. So okay. Because I thought it was part of it, but I guess I'm a little bit ahead if I'm listening to it now.
That's good.
Okay, Marcos.
Hello, everybody. Well, I've been having the most intense 3 weeks of my life ever, I have to tell you. There were so many cognitive shifts that happened to me, and I can name some of them, and I can go a little bit deeper in one or two of them. But the thing is, today is my mother that passed away 7 years ago. She was supposed to be turning 70. Okay. And for the first time in 7 years, I was able to write down something about her. Nice. I had completely pushed away those feelings because I was so resentful for the way I understood she brought me up. Wow. She raised me. And 2 weeks ago, I was reading I don't know if I had shared already that with you guys, but I was reading the AMAT document for the session notes. And I came across to this sentence from that guy that's doing, that was telling the story that he was at his mom's house, and his mom got mad at him because he overcooked the broccolis. And then all of a sudden he said, in one of the sentences, he said, she wanted help, but she wouldn't ask. When he said that sentence, woof, everything came to my awareness. And that happened to my mom as well, Asking help would mean for her that she needed to admit that she wasn't perfect. And then, one thing after the other, I understood that, all criticism, everything that she had, the way I was raised, with lots of criticism, that wasn't about me. It was about her and her issues. Once I got to that realization, to that awareness, I forgave her. I forgave her. It's instantly, that came from within. And that's why I was able to write down a few words for her. Yeah, last night, and that for the first time I cried out of because I missed her, and not because I was mad at her. That was the first thing I'd like to share.
Wow.
Yeah, that was deep for sure.
Yeah.
The second thing is a very positive thing. We had a baby shower
Oh.
last Saturday, and it was organized for those friends that I have from that positive psychology group that it's my support group since I got here in Canada. And it's so it's hard for me even to describe how was the feeling of being among like 30 people with so much love for me, for my wife, and for the baby. The whole thing was, I'm still energized. I'm still like flooding with love because of what exactly we experience. And it's the most interesting thing is that I have this friend from Brazil. A year ago, she sent a voice message to me, my wife, and she said, a year ago, you're going to have a baby. And I had a dream that you guys are going to have a baby. Your wife looks stunning. And you are among people that I don't know who they are, but they love you guys so much. And on Saturday, that happened. It was the thing that kind of the last piece of the puzzle. It was that she was talking about them, and it's unbelievable.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's the two things I'd like to share. And as something to ask you, Nancy, it has to do with what you wrote down for my last session notes. I've been thinking of working with over drinking and overeating, which are two of the things that I needed to cope, to get to come to terms with during my life. But you wrote down that I should not, that you think it's not a good idea to give the clients suggestions of, or maybe exercises to do. And I'd like to have more clarity or your opinion on that. Okay.
Yeah. Let me see if I understand the question first. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So was this in the phase 4 of the work? Like you'd done this great session and then we got to phase 4.
Actually,
I'm remembering. Yeah.
That'll be on the triple M thing.
Yes. And so there was a part in your session note where you were suggesting to the client these different strategies that they
yeah,
use.
that's it. The strategies.
Right. And so I think where I was coming from on that, like, as you're getting, there's very few things which are either right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all about empowering the client. And so what I was reflecting on is, okay, did you go through a conscious process here of deciding that offering these suggestions would empower this client?
That was my idea, but I don't know if it was time for it. Even though it was a 4th session, so I felt like giving her something. Yeah, it comes to that term, tangible, so she could maybe reflect on.
Yeah, and it makes some sense, right? You're in a 4th session, you're doing a conscious closing, you're helping that client make a plan, move forward, because they're not going to be working with you anymore, so you're helping them make that plan. And so, there is a place to say to the client, would you like to hear some of the specific ideas I have about how you might investigate, how you might move forward, right? And then the client would say yes or no. If they say no, you say great. If they say yes, then you could say, well, I've heard that this is helpful and this is helpful and this is helpful, and maybe you could investigate this. Do any of these ideas appeal to you, right? But what I was wanting to make sure in your session note was that it was coming from that place of invitation and awareness, not from that advice giving place, which is more about us and us taking care of our needs. Right?
Okay. As far as I can tell, I was really feeling present and like willing to help. That might be the case that I maybe just wanted her to feel happy or.
It might be. Of course, it might be. It might come from that place. It might come from the place of like, oh my gosh, I want her to think well of the session, so I'll just give her all these tidbits at the end, right? Or it might be coming from a truly fully present place. So again, it's not the what, it's the who we are and the intention that we're holding over that intervention.
Yeah, because right now I'm gonna have this new client with a similar compulsion, but it's for food, and I really don't know if I bring some strategies, where I bring some strategies to help her to become aware of her patterns, or if I just focus on EFT. That this is what I don't know. I don't know if what should I do in this case, because after reading your comments on my suggestions, I thought, oh, okay. Should I?
With a new client, I mean, it's pretty clear with a new client, if they come in and you're going to hit them with all of your good, brilliant ideas about how they should operate without creating the relationship, without being present, helping the client be present, right? Then of course you're off track, right? But if you do the work, you relieve the suffering, you move into phase 4, you say to the client, this is great, you've got some new energy available. How do you want to move this ahead just a little bit, right? And as part of the brainstorm, you come up with some ideas. Maybe you could make a kale smoothie 3 times this week, right? But the challenge is, most of the time when we come up with these ideas, the energy that the idea requires to implement is far beyond what the client has available for change. And so, we say, so sign up for Overeaters Anonymous and go to 3 meetings this week. And there's no way the client has the energy available to do that. Then we've set them up for a really dysfunctional.
Okay. I get what you mean. Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly. So it's about this discernment about being with the client and understanding where they are and how much energy they have available to put toward the change that they want.
Yeah, because I just noticed that at least a little bit of commitment. There's a need for at least this big of commitment. Otherwise, things don't happen. Right. So I've just tried to establish I want to establish a commitment with the client. Okay, what can you do to the next session? So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the MMM, and that's where this whooping is going to fit tonight.
Okay.
Right? Is really understanding that we've got to be so careful that we don't encourage the client to force the change.
Yeah, I know what I mean. I made this mistake, and but fortunately, I was able to step back and establish a new relationship in the middle. Yeah.
And apologize and say, whoa, I really got that wrong. I thought there was more energy, and take it on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And oh gosh, I thought there was enough energy for this, and I guess
I did something exactly like that. I said, you know what? I think I'm pushing it too hard in this moment, and you're not ready for that. I'm sorry. Let's step back and start again from a place of acceptance, and then things started, going well.
Yeah, beautiful. So they're just getting that first small chunk, getting that ball rolling. And then the next step becomes a little bit easier, and the next one a little bit easier, and the next one a little bit easier, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so small steps taken consistently over time is like the domino video.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Melancy. That answers my questions. Thank you.
Great. And I don't quite know how this fits in, but I'm feeling an impulse to say this. Maybe I'll figure out how it fits in, or maybe it doesn't fit in. So I had this call today with an accredited practitioner in Prince Edward Island. Delightful woman. And she's just become accredited, and she's now looking at building her business. And, I said to her, this was just a getting to know you call. I want to know what's happening in PEI. But I said to her, I've been doing this for a long time. Would you like me to give you some ideas about what you may want to do first in building your business? And she said, oh, yes, I would love that. And so I was talking to her about the the downside of the one-off sessions and how building a package or a program is going to be more helpful to her and to her client. And so she said, oh my goodness, like that's wild. Never thought of that. And I said, what are you thinking of charging? And she said, $75 for a session. And I said, so that would be $225 for, she was thinking 3 sessions. That would be $225 for 3 sessions. And she visibly just went deer in the headlights, right? And she said oh, I never ever could ask somebody for $225. And what I said to her is, you're going to get the client that you charge for. So if you charge $75, you're going to get a $75 client. And a $75 client doesn't have much of a commitment to change. A $225 client has a much higher level of commitment to the change that they want to make. And so the chances of them getting that change are much, much higher. And the chance that they're going to go out into the world and rave about you as a practitioner are much, much higher. Does that make sense? Right? So you've got to be cautious around where you set your rate, because that's who you will attract. And there are attributes of people who come to $75 practitioners that are different than people who come to $100 or $200 practitioners.
Tennis.
I completely understand what you're saying, Nancy. I feel like it's challenging in some areas to really wrap your head around that mindset, because I'm from the East Coast, I'm from New Brunswick, and I remember growing up there and the challenges that came with the area's financial prosperity. And so I can kind of I understand that she likely has a lot of work to do around feeling like she can't ask for more. Yeah. But in some place, how do you feel about that? Do you think I'm making an excuse right now? I am, hey? Because that's a tough one. If I was practicing in New Brunswick, I would feel the same way.
No, sir. Wherever you are, you can identify with the people who don't have the resources to purchase your services, or you can identify with the people who do have the resources to purchase your services. That is your choice. Mm-hmm. By no means am I saying that everybody in PEI is going to be able to, to purchase her services. No, but by no means does everybody in Ontario have the means to purchase my services either. But that's up to me where I want to put my focus and put my alignment.
And if people really want it, they will find a way to get it. They always do.
Yeah. And so what I'm saying to you is that it really matters in terms of you building your practice, that if you hold the mindset that you must charge according to make sure people can afford you, you're going to have a much more difficult time building your business than if you understand your value and your worth.
Yeah.
And set your fee accordingly.
Yeah. And I don't think that I have personally, I'm sorry, you guys, that I'm taking over this little part here, but I don't really feel like I have this concern that I don't feel like I'm valuable enough to price myself at a certain point. I think it's where I have the bleeding heart is that the people that could really benefit from it but truly can't quite scrounge up that amount of money, right? We have this gaping hole where people are either really low income earners or high.
So let me try this reframe. So do you know how many years I've been building Nefty to be able to get to the place where this year finally I can offer scholarship tuitions? I've earned the right to provide services to the people who can't afford Discover.
Oh,
Right?
thank you.
Because if I just go about providing services to people who can't afford to come to Discover, there will be no Discover that exists. It won't survive.
Mic drop. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kelsey and then Brenda.
I'll be quick, but Tanis, my heart bleeds with you, and something that I've landed on personally is that once I get to an actual schedule of my availability, is that I'm going to have like a community spot of like a pay what you can, and maybe have like 1 or 2 available a week that are just out there. And like, obviously tapping is not my only modality, but just to be able to feel that I am giving back to those people that, you know, and I was one of them at a point where I didn't see, not necessarily didn't see the value in investing in myself. And I think a lot of us here wouldn't be in this position if we didn't see the value of investing in ourselves and do all that we needed to make being able to afford this course possible. But at that same time, it helps satiate that part of me that just wants to help everybody and give. So it's a balance is how I'm approaching it.
Can I offer a piece of advice around that?
Yep.
Okay. So a couple things. Number one is it's much more difficult to work with people who are not paying you.
Oh, I'm not saying it would be unpaid. It would be a pay what you can.
It's much more difficult to work with people on a pay as you can. It's much more energetically draining for you. So if you're going to do that, please take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to offer, say, 3 hours a week to people who are paying a very reduced fee, please put at least 3 hours a week in to do your tapping around what comes up around it.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll take that.
Because it's not as straightforward as we think to offer this low fee stuff. Mm-hmm. And then the second piece of advice is you've got to find a way for those people to reciprocate the energy. Because this is an energetic flow that we create, and that's the function of money. And so if you're going to take that money away from them, then you're going to have to find another way to keep that energy flowing.
For them or for me?
For both of you. For both of you.
Oh, so when you say if I'm taking the money away from them, you're saying in terms of it being an exchange for our time?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
And again, that gets dicey, because now all of a sudden, whatever that is that you're putting in that place has the potential to muck up the dynamic, to contaminate the dynamic. So,
okay.
For example, what if a client says, "Oh, Nancy, I can't afford to pay your fees, but I can bake you banana bread." Well, that makes the dynamic, because money is money. Money is clear. You can say, "Here's the cost."
Everyone understands money.
Yeah. Banana bread is a lot more difficult to tie down. There's going to be a dynamic around the person wondering, does Nancy even like the banana bread, or I burnt the banana bread, or something about the banana bread, and it's going to go right into your work with them. So this is it's not as altruistic as we may think it is.
Why not?
Because we're getting our needs met rather than just showing up and being there to meet their needs because we're being paid to do it.
Yeah.
It's messy.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, like when you guys are looking, if you're doing this full time, you cannot make a living on pay what you can. And you can't help more people, just as Nancy said. If she charged pay what you can at Discover's not going to last. You're not going to last as a practitioner. And then you can help nobody. So the ones that you bring in help pay for the ones that you want to offer as free or special things or exchange things. But you need to make sure you're healthy first before you do that.
Oxygen mask first. Yeah. Yeah. Great conversation. We had somebody else, didn't we, Corby, that was in this?
Brenda.
I almost feel like I don't need to say anything because a lot of what you said, Nancy, I was just going to echo, because I'm coming from a nonprofit organization right now working. And the biggest beef that we have as therapists, counselors, whatever, is that if the client was paying, would they cancel on the drop of a dime? And this happens all the time. The difference for me is I show up at these people's homes and they can't get away from me. So I'm kind of in their face, but a lot of the therapists are like, they just canceled like 5 minutes before. Like I'm sitting here waiting. And it just speaks to the whole value. This has been a big shift for me too. I'm completely where a lot of you are talking. When I previously had my own business and I was like, oh yeah, $20. Like, this is sad to say. I'm really embarrassed. I'm owning it. And I would say $20. $20 for my personal training. Like, that's like, it's embarrassing to say this, but I'm learning that it had no value. I had no value for myself. Yeah. I totally see that. And people took advantage of it. And so it's not, I'm realizing too, like what we are feeling that uncomfortable is that's all our stuff. And that's what's going to get in the way of us being able to do what the service that we feel we can really provide. Yeah. So really be cautious about that, because as much as I've always worked in nonprofit, there's a lot of limitations to nonprofit.
Huge number of limitations to nonprofit.
You can't make a good living at nonprofit, and it drains you.
The government's going to fund you, I suppose, or there's some investor out there who's going to fund this, but you're going to get the results according to how much you're willing to charge. That's maybe the new piece for you when I say that. You, Brenda, I'm sure you got $20 clients, right? They brought $20 worth of commitment to the work, and they didn't get the results that a $120 client would get. Plus, 100%. If you're charging $20 to clients, well, how many clients do you have to have in a week in order to start making any kind of a profit at all? And how on earth are you going to stay regulated working with that many clients on an ongoing basis? It's not possible. And that story I was going to share with you, I don't think I would have said this. This is a story about Judy Howsam. She wouldn't mind me sharing her name because she talks about this story all the time. We were in our harness, several years ago, we were in our harness graduate mastermind. And we were taking a break. And we were taking a picture. So we're all outside taking this picture. And we start to come back in. And Judy says to me, Nancy, can I ask you a question? I said, sure. She said, what do you think about, I'm going to start charging $50 a session. Now, Judy's an amazing practitioner. She's a retired teacher. She's fabulous. Okay. She was fabulous all through harness. She's just a fabulous person. So she says, I'm going to charge $50 a session. And I turned to her and I said, how dare you devalue my services that way? How dare you charge so little for what I've poured my heart into offering you in this program? So first she cried, right? And then she tapped, and then she got it that I was triggering her on purpose, right? And so she immediately went home and doubled her fees, right? And, is forever grateful for the fact that, she says, like, I saved her from burnout, because she would have been seeing twice as many clients at $50 rather than $100. And she probably would have burnt out. And, she's a retired teacher, so she has a pension. It's not that she's not eating Kraft dinner, but she would have burnt out in terms of the amount of time and effort she was putting into this. So this is a really, really important conversation.
Trisha.
If I could use like my I have, I guess, not for these services, but for the reversed services, I was seeing a life coach and trading off my bookkeeping services in exchange. And at the time, I used to charge $55 an hour for bookkeeping. And this person used to charge me $30 an hour. So I lowered my price and my value and completely got taken advantage of for somebody who ended up kind of slapping me in the face at the end of all of it.
Yes.
So I don't care what it is you're doing. When it comes to the business end of it, that exchange of energy to a certain degree is one thing. But when this is your life effort, I'm paying however many dollars to learn how to become this practitioner. This is costing me money. I'm paying for and time.
Yeah.
All of it, and energy, and
having to lower other priorities in your life.
Yeah, all of it. So I've already learned that lesson. Thank goodness. Now it's a matter, like I tell people that even when I have a friend of mine, she's starting off with an eyelash company. She's done mine a few times and she's like, oh, just $60. And I'm like, $60, but everybody else charges this. Why are you charging so little? Like, look at how great my eyelashes look. They look fantastic. She goes, well, for you. And I'm like, oh, we're friends, but.
Yeah, because there's always going to be strings attached. And
I said right off, I said, if this is what you charge other people, that's what you're charging me. I'm a friend and I believe in your services.
I also want to bring the ethical piece here, though, because it's not ethical to charge under what our value is.
Yeah, for everybody else too.
Because if we're charging under what our value is, we are asking that client to meet some emotional needs of ours. And that's not ethical, right? We're to be getting our emotional needs met using other strategies, not using our clients, right? For our clients, we're to show up 100% present to meet their needs rather than these other emotional needs of ours. So I want you to consider the ethical piece around this as well. So there's all kinds of ways to help the world. You know, look at Oprah, for heaven's sakes. Like, she's got all of this money, which she has done by building businesses, and now she uses that money in ways that are meaningful to her and then flows that money back out into the world again. So there's many different strategies that we can use to help the world. It doesn't have to be in terms of taking our business time and allocating that to people who are having difficulty paying. Okay, Corby, on with the show.
I don't even know where we are anymore. Flo.
Flo.
I'm here.
Hey.
I'm doing really well. I just wanted to share actually a really exciting thing that happened today. And exciting is not even the right word. Heartwarming? Yeah. It was a fourth session with a non-dominant client. And, you know, she had this original goal. And what she ended up with was something that was so different from her original goal, but so profound and so life-giving. And so it was just like, I'm still on a little bit of a wow, you know? And it was the one that I actually sent you because I thought, oh shit, I bombed this one really bad. Or, you know, I just didn't feel quite comfortable. I thought, I could have done better here or whatever. She took that session that I thought was, and she ran with the damn thing. And then this last session was just kick-ass amazing. And we ended up doing, because she was doing so well in that, we ended up looking at a piece of her vision and then looking at all the obstacles that could get in the way. So I think this is your whooping, I think.
This is the whooping, yep. Yeah.
So we did a nice little, just a little, nice little significant piece on that. And this is how we ended the whole thing. And, with the making sure that she had her resources and so on. And she knows myself, and she knows another lady who has done your psychotherapist, conscious EFT. And, we're all buddies. And that the other thing was that it was really dicey to do a friend. And there was times I thought, whoa, I'm really struggling with this, objectivity and all this stuff, but it did end up okay. Yeah. But at least I had enough of experience of it to realize how much trouble I could have gotten.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So,
yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful, Flo. I think it was, Sandra, it might have been you and I, were we talking about compassion satisfaction today? Yeah, this is, I've been doing a lot of reading on caregiver fatigue and blah, 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 blah the last couple of days, and came across this concept that I just love. I've never heard about it before. The world's abuzz with compassion fatigue and burnout and all of those phrases. But the other side of this, Flo, is what you're talking about. It's compassion satisfaction. It's like why we do this work, how it warms our heart. That was such a well-chosen word, right? How just excited we get when we see the results for another human being. And just feel that satisfaction of the work that we do. And I was saying that I think EFT is so well positioned because we're tapping all the time with our clients. And so we're chipping away at the possibility of compassion fatigue all the time that we're doing this work. And as we lower the compassion fatigue, we're automatically increasing then the compassion satisfaction, right? That's the sun always shines place. So I think it's so important as a group that we take the time and we celebrate the compassion satisfaction. Right? We need to do that.
It was the first time it was that big, you know, and it was at the end of 4 sessions, and so it just really felt like, so that's what transformation is all about. It just was really nice. But I do have a question, and I was trying to think how to put it, because I was not quite understanding some of the response that you gave to me about it. And then I thought, okay, well, I've seen it with a couple of clients and I've seen it with myself in a session. When you're facing what looks like a mountain of something, and I know that you have to chip away at a piece of the mountain, I just don't seem to be super creative about how to do this. Like, for instance, one of the things that we did with the client today was about when she was facing this mountain, which we weren't going to do today, was about, acknowledging that it was a mountain, and acknowledging that there was no way we were going to do it today, and acknowledging that any time that she was ready to start, working on that mountain, that it was only going to be in teeny tiny bits and pieces, because nobody goes to a mountain and then just, because the mountain could fall on them, and it's just not good for them. But I'm not sure, there was something in the response that you gave me that sort of made me feel like we should still be talking about the mountain as a whole. And I thought, I don't think I understand. So I don't know if you want to say anything about when you're facing with somebody who says, this is just like a mountain to me, and it's big, right?
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So.
I wish it could be clearer, but.
No, I'm getting it. And again, it's like, there's going to be no one answer here, because it's going to be unique to the client, right? Because one client can say, oh, like, Flo, I got this mountain. I don't know how I'm going to climb this mountain. But they're saying it with an energy that is, but I'm going to do it. I've climbed a lot of mountains before. So it's like, there's a mountain. And with that client, you could do global tapping on it, even though got a mountain here.
Yes.
Right? I love and accept myself. But the next client could come in and they could say, I've got a mountain. I got a mountain, right? And oh shit, right? I need to sneak away from this mountain, because that mountain is living inside of that person. And I need to get the mountain far enough away from them that they actually can have an experience of peace and calm here in this moment, before we even start thinking about how we're going to chunk down that mountain.
But once you've got the peace and calm, what's the next step to chip away at the mountain?
Well, I probably with this client, that one, I would do a tearless trauma. I would say, now don't do this. Turn away from your mountain. Don't even think about the mountain. But if you were to, what would happen?
Yes, if you're guessing and all that stuff.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So that you're making sure that the client is dissociated from their issue.
Okay.
And then inviting them little bit by little bit.
They just done a lot of distancing, but I haven't used tearless trauma enough, maybe.
Yeah, tearless trauma is just one form of making the step so minuscule.
Okay.
Yeah, and on Virtual Mastermind, I'll show you the Tell the Story, which actually I wasn't expecting this to happen. I thought we'd just charge right in to tell the story, but it turned out that we needed to do a tearless trauma at the start. So kind of a nice example.
Okay.
Thank you. Great question.
Thank you. Kelsey.
I want to start by saying, Flo, it is so beautiful to see you in your power, to see you so animated right now, so confident, and you are glowing. It is just inspiring, woman. Mwah, mwah. And all your beautiful smiling faces. Hello. I am just, I am the biggest advocate of this. I just wish that I could stand on every rooftop in the city and scream how amazing EFT is. And had another revolutionary week. Big ups to my advanced practitioner. We are making some headway. And like you, Heather, have come to a real, hang on a second. No, Marcos. Heather, you mentioned your dad, but it was Marcos that mentioned that he came to a place of loving and understanding for his mother, for how, that it was never her fault. It was never about you, right? Like, and I've come to that and just feel so good, so good. And I'm just, my power is coming in and it's just feeling really great. And one tool that I want to share, because Heather, you had mentioned the writing. I was trying to remember all these little connections I'd made as I was driving home. You'd mentioned that you've been writing a lot, and I've also found I've been opening, and I like ideas and thoughts and creativities and exercises have been coming to me. And I actually use a program called Temi, Temi. You can download it as an app, and it is a transcription tool. It's 10 US cents a minute for transcription, and it is phenomenal because I am enjoying the opportunity to speak my truths out, Corby, speak my truths out, and share these ideas and capture them as I am sharing them with you now, like in my excitement, in my energy with them, and then they get turned into a transcript that I can manipulate on the computer and take it into the world from there. So that's something I've been really enjoying. I also started my picture tapping course yesterday, and this is coming to me right now, but Nancy, may I please request at virtual, and if not, maybe also July, an opportunity to share it with everybody as like a little, classroom report on.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Love it, because it is so different. Global issues, no words, like, oh my God, my brain is like, but what? But I was the person that got to be the example yesterday in the course, and like the trainers in England, one of the ladies in Belgium, one of the ladies in Ireland, and I'm over here in Aussie in Toronto. Like, it's just it's a comedy show, but it was amazing, and it was huge for me, so I'm looking forward to sharing it all with you. And I did have a question. I did. It's somewhere.
Let me. I'll tap for a question.
Question. Give me 1 second.
My question.
Woohoo. Okay, well, this one's come to me. So with my dominant client, quick little reflection on me as a practitioner, my last two sessions, my session 2 and 3 with my dominant client, were via Zoom. We did the first one initially in person, but then 2 and 3 via Zoom, but then the fourth one happened to be in person as well. And I didn't realize how comfortable I was actually doing it through Zoom more so than in person. Because when I'm in Zoom, I can have support and props available to me, you know, just off screen and just off screen. And I'm taking my notes, but I'm able, you know, they only see this frame of me and they don't experience me when I'm tapping frantically on my fingers on. And so it's like, that's fascinating. But the great news is that she would like to continue.
Yay.
And yay, I know, leading into especially the opportunity for the one-on-one mentorship with you, Nat. So I was wondering, and would love anybody else to chime in, where have you gone in that sense of entering into another 4 sessions with somebody and wanting obviously to come from the place of support and empowerment with them, but just kind of like, yeah, do you open up a whole new can of worms? Do you stay with where they're at? Like, I understand that obviously we meet them where they're at with things, but I just wondered if there is any advice for continuing this and or leading into knowing that we'll be using her.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So what I'd suggest is, you know, you've done your conscious closing on those first 4 sessions.
Yeah.
Great. So now start it fresh again, because you've got a brand new client. This is not the client that you had 4 sessions ago.
Oh.
So give the client a chance, right, to say, here's what I want to work on now.
Yeah.
And they get to choose. Is it the same thing? Is it something different?
Okay.
But just start it fresh. You're a different person. They're a different person. The relationship is different. Everything is different. So we've got to leave space for that.
Beautiful. Even just, my brain of like the whole, she can regulate more now, and like perhaps we can do more at home work and different things. And then it's like, no, you issue, meet her where she's at with that issue. Determine what her regulation is around that issue. And go from there.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm gonna pass the baton because the other, I think it's back here somewhere. And if it doesn't, I'll pop it in Facebook. But big love to you all. Thank you.
Okay, Julia.
Julia. Hey.
Oh.
Hi.
Yeah, right now I'm feeling not the best because I've been trying to do those session case studies, and I'm experiencing a lot of triggers around those. Yeah. So I'm feeling a little bit, I don't know, like I had moments of just being like, I can't do this. And then I had moments of being like, okay, this session wasn't good enough. Maybe I shouldn't actually use this. It's like this, of course I'm tapping along the whole time, but I'm just feeling like, like I just, they're feeling tough for me right now.
Anybody else who's done these formal case studies had any feelings like this whatsoever? Oh gosh, that's every single person, Julia.
I know I'm not alone. It doesn't help. I'm like, I hate it.
Okay, so tap with me a little bit here. In this moment, as you think about doing the case study notes, how intense is the upset?
7.
It's a 7. Okay, great. And how do you know it's a 7?
I don't know. I can just feel it in my body. I'm like,
Okay, and it looks like it's in your jaw as well?
Yeah, it's like I feel tense like everywhere. I just want to like throw the computer out the window.
So you want to do what?
Throw the computer out the window. That's
Okay, great. And it seems to me that as you're throwing the computer out the window, you're also wanting to say something, because you're doing this greeting thing. What is it that you actually want to say as you throw the computer out the window?
I don't know. It's like, I don't want to do this.
Okay, great. So I want you to imagine, I want you to keep tapping. So imagine throwing the computer out the window and say, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't want to do this. Keep imagining it. I don't want to do this. I just don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And everybody, would you just throw that computer out the window? Let her see you throwing the computer out the window. And Julia, you say, I don't want to do this.
I don't want to do this.
Right? I just don't want to do this.
I just don't want to do this.
I don't want to do this.
I don't want to do this.
I don't want to do this.
Because I'm scared I'm going to fail at it.
Yeah, there we go. That's it. Just stay with that fear. Yeah, I'm so scared I'll fail. Yeah, I'm so scared I'll fail. I'm so scared I'll fail. Yeah, I'm so scared. This is part of me. It's just so scared. And I can't think of any other strategy but to throw it out the window and run away, right? Get myself away from this. I got to get to safety. Oh, I know. I'll throw the computer out the window. And then I can feel safe. Right? Yeah. What's coming up now?
I don't feel like I want to throw it out the window, but I still feel this fear that I'm going to fail it. So it's this desire to just keep pushing it aside, but I have to do it for you by tomorrow morning. So I can't. I was about to email you and say I can't have our session tomorrow, but I knew that that's a poor coping strategy. So.
I was going to say, new strategy. Tell Nancy I can't do it. keep the computer, but to throw Nancy away.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
Yeah, good. This fearful part of me.
This fearful part of me.
Right. Oh, the little thing's so scared.
Yeah.
Oh, so scared.
So scared.
I'm just so scared. Yeah. And how do you feel when you look at that scared little part of you?
Well, I know she's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
It wasn't really ever acceptable to not do things perfectly, so that's
right. Yeah. Oh my gosh, how hard must that be to be living her life that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm so sorry that she's had these experiences that have led her to this strategy of perfection, right? How's she doing now?
She's feeling a bit better. She still has to do it somehow. So.
Oh, good. Good. So what I want you to do now is just ask her what would be helpful for her to be able to do this in a way that actually feels safer for her. Just see what she says. Make sure it comes from her, okay? Can you see her?
Yeah. She wants to trust that it's, even if she doesn't do it exactly how it's supposed to be done, that she's not going to fail.
Okay. Okay. Could you ask her, because I appreciate so much that she's sharing this with me. Like, oh my God, this is a gift to know that she's here. So I just want to make sure that I understand what this failure thing is. So could you just ask her what it would look like for her to fail? Like, would it look like me saying something, or would it look like me putting big X's through her session note, or what would it look like?
Yeah, I think she thinks that you would just not let me move forward or pass because I didn't write the session notes exactly as they're supposed to be in the manual.
Right. Okay. So can you say this to her, that first of all, she's not the one writing the session note. So it's up to you, the adult, right? You're writing the session note. And then second of all, that just let her know that there's no such thing as a perfect session note. And that I hope that there's all kinds of ideas I have to make the session note better. I hope I have those ideas. Like, that's what I would want for her. So, you know, if a perfect session note comes in, I don't get to do this work. There's no room for me. And that would be a huge loss for me. So I'm hoping that there's room for all of us. How's she doing with this information?
She's doing good. She's just feeling like the tears around the fact that she's never really learned that it's okay to not do things perfectly, and hearing that really helps.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Tell her I understand completely. You know, coming from another person whose prime strategy in life was to be perfect in order to try to be safe. And that, you know, maybe she and I together can have a different experience.
I think she wants that.
Yeah. Well, I want that too, because oh my God, if you present a perfect session note, then I have to do a perfect mentoring. It's like, God, I don't know how to do that. Maybe we could muck it up together. Oh, yeah, that's good. Just let her have those tears. Wow. It's nice. And when she's done with the tears, just ask her, what else does she need to feel like there's some, well, two things, that she's safe, but she also has a better sense of control over this.
She just says that she knows that you love her and that it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So say thank you for acknowledging that. And then would you just ask her, because I'm thinking there's something that I could use here, because I want to be safe. I want her to be safe. So can you ask her if it's okay that at the start of our mentoring session tomorrow, that we all check in with each other to see how we're doing?
Yeah.
And that we won't move forward until we're all actually feeling kind of excited about being there.
Yeah. Okay.
Would she be willing to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
She feels bad that she's made me procrastinate for so long on writing them.
She's a powerful little part.
Oh yeah, she runs the show around here.
That's beautiful. We'll tell her we love her anyway. Yeah, and we love the procrastination because it meets the need to be safe. So bless her. Nice. Thank you. Does that feel like it's okay? You can scale of 0 to 10. How likely is it you'll do the session note?
10.
10. Perfect. Can you see any obstacles that might happen, even though it's a 10? Can you predict any obstacles that might get in the way?
Well, I have to do 3 of them officially. Like I'm writing 2 different clients, but one of them has 2. This is the second session, so it's just a lot of volume.
So why don't we just do 1 for tomorrow?
But then I feel like I'm wasting your time.
Jeez, like I'll find lots to talk about. So then why don't we do the one that has the 2 sessions, and that'll give us more than enough for the time we have available.
Yeah, I've already. The problem is I'm 3/4 of the way done the other person.
Oh, so perfect. Then do that one.
I'll figure out a way to make sure I'm not overdoing it.
Yeah, great, good, because what we'll find is probably that that we'll run out of time.
Yeah.
So good. Any other obstacles you can predict here?
It's just very time consuming. So yeah. I do have a question though, because I uploaded one of the sessions in the regular session notes from like a week, and you started to add comments, but you stopped.
Oh.
but I'm going to use that one as the, like, it's the first, and then she has a second one. So the second one, I think, will be more the focus. But I'll just take that and try to put it into the other template.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh dear, so I didn't do a perfect mentoring job.
That's okay. I gave you quite a few last week. I was glad that I didn't get more feedback.
Good. Any other obstacles that are in our way here?
I don't feel like I'm going to throw the computer out the window. I'm just going to do the very best I can and trust that you'll love me anyways.
Good. Good. And so when this little part pops up again that goes, oh no, oh no, oh no, I want to throw the computer out the window. What's the plan? What are you going to do right in that moment?
I'm gonna tap instead of distracting myself, and I'm gonna remind myself of this conversation.
And what phrase is going to remind you of this conversation?
I think just specifically what hit home was when, like, I had that big moment of intensity where, like, this part never learned that it's safe not to be perfect and everything. And so this is a really good opportunity for me to do something outside of my comfort zone and keep learning that it's safe to not feel like everything has to be, like, all buttoned up and perfect, and that nothing bad is going to happen or unsafe.
Good. So let's tie this down to like 6 or 7 words. It's safe to, how would you finish that? It's safe to do this. It's safe to just get this done. It's safe to.
It's safe to do my best, and that might not be perfect.
Beautiful. It's safe to do my best.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's safe to do my best. Okay, would you write that down?
I'm writing it down right now.
Thank you. It's safe to do my best. So here's the plan. So you're going to, we're whooping this thing, right? So the W is that we want to get the session note done, right? The objective here is, what's the number one benefit? How are you going to feel when you get that session note into me?
Yeah, really good.
Really good, right? Really good. Can you feel that even in this moment? It's like, yes, when I get that thing in, I am going to feel really good. And what we've said is, the obstacle here was the one about the how many session notes are we going to do thing, but we figured that one out. And then it was like, oh my gosh, if this little part of me comes up and it's scared again, then I'm going to say it's safe for me to do my best.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So everybody else who's listening, that was the whooping. The W was the wish. What's the goal here? The first O was for the objective, right? What's the number one benefit? How are we going to feel emotionally when we meet that wish? And then the second O was the objections. So what are not the objections, the obstacles. What are the predictable places where we might hit a roadblock? And then what's our P? What's our plan? What's our plan for what we're going to do at the obstacle? And you see how specific that plan was? If that fear comes up, then you will tap and you will say the phrase, it's safe for me to do this, my best, to do my best. Well, thank you. We just illustrated the whooping. Yay! Good. Let's go back to the whole team here and see, are there questions about the whooping?
There was just a question about the parts, if other EFT trainers reference the parts work, or if it's known, or if it's just a nifty thing.
Oh, in level 3, they sometimes, it's part of the level 3 curriculum to talk about parts work, but that would be the very basic parts work, even though a part of me is feeling this way. What we're doing is really going on the edge here and integrating EFT with internal family systems, with all the different other parts of parts work that are out there, and really looking at how we powerfully can integrate those things. So, Yeah, so to my knowledge, there's nobody else who's doing that level of integration that we're working on, right? You know, matrix reimprinting is a form of parts work. Inner child work is a form of parts work, but we're so we're integrating all of those pieces. I don't know, and I don't know anybody else who does the this real divine self part and the whole family systems approach with EFT. We're going to see more and more people doing that, though, if I have anything to say about it. Let me finish the whooping part then. This is the woman, Gabrielle Ottington, and her book is called Rethinking Positive Thinking. And so this is very much research-based. And so it's her work where she comes up with this whooping idea. It's a form of mental contrasting. We've talked about mental contrasting as being the pendulation, right? The touching the limitation and then touching the expansion. Phase 1, phase 4, that's a form of mental contrasting. Our whole setup phrase, even though, touch the problem, I love and accept myself, touch the other piece of that. That's pendulation. Okay, Peter Levine in his trauma work is always talking about pendulation of the whole system. And so this is the same idea, mental contrasting. So in the whooping, we're holding this wish. Here's where we want to go. This is why, and this is why we want to go there, that emotional part. And then holding it against the obstacle, right? And pendulating, mentally contrasting where we want to go with the reality of what might happen on the journey there. And specifically making a plan for addressing that obstacle. So do you see where this fits in our phase 1, phase 4, right? It's going to be part of the action piece, right? So we're going to use the energy, focus the energy in the direction of desired change. That's going to be the wish. And you're going to help the client come up with a really clear and specific small chunk action item. And then you're going to test compliance. How likely on a scale of 0 to 10 is this? If it's not very high, you're going to go back and do some more tapping on that. If it's 7, 8, 9 and around there, then you're going to start whooping it. Because even Julia, that was such a great example, Julia, because she was a 10, and yet we still came up with the obstacles. So it's like I used to say to my son, it's like, because I've lived longer than you, I can see around the corners better than you can. So it's the same thing here, right? We're just trying to see around the corner before we let the client go off on their own. Right? So we would whoop it, we would test compliance again, and then we would build in the accountability piece. Okay, I have a document here that I wrote all this down on. I'll post it in our Facebook group. Whooping questions?
Feel free.
I was like, I'll wait for my name. I just want to reference that I just wrote down, do MMM, then whoop on it.
Yeah.
And like, to anybody else in the world, that's such a weird phrase.
We've got our own language, yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's beautiful. So just for my own clarity, it's, you still use MMM as your like base setting up of capturing the actions and testing how likely they are and how are they going to know that they've achieved it, all of that.
Absolutely.
And then how do you, because I mean, I'm not even being able to link back into what we just witnessed with G in that sense of like, how do you then pivot that into the whoop? Like, what's the like phrase to get to the wish?
So here's an example. I think this might actually be on my sheet that I made. So say my MMM, which is my W, that's my wish, right? Okay, is to, I want to go to the gym 3 times a week. Okay, then the first O would be, you know, what's that about? How are you going to feel if you go to the gym 3 times a week? Oh my God, I'm going to feel so light. I'm going to have so much energy. I'm so excited, right?
So the objective is the feeling that they're going to get from completing the wish.
Yes, you're sort of the number one benefit. It's the motivational piece again, right? Why is this important to you? What are you going to get out of this?
Okay.
And then the second O is the obstacle. So it'll be like, okay, Nancy, I know you want to go to the gym and you're telling me it's a 10 out of 10, but what's a predictable obstacle that might get in your way here? And I would say, okay, well, I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm going to want to go to the gym, but I'm not going to be able to find my running shoes. And so I'll just give up and I'll go back to bed. Okay, then how are we going to handle that obstacle? Okay, so that's the plan. And so the plan is, oh, well, I'll put my running shoes by the back door tonight.
Okay. And then you go back and you say, because you did this with G, like, are there any other obstacles? So you kind of re-loop the last two, the upping, the up,
Yeah.
up again until until you're upped out.
Until we're ooped out, yeah. Ooped out and high compliance.
And you go back and retest the compliance each time with the, okay.
Yeah, for sure. And then after that, the other piece is the accountability piece, because we know people do better when they're accountable to a group, to a person, to something, right? That that has them actually indicate that, yes, indeed, they did that.
Yeah.
Okay, back to checking, Corby.
Thank you.
Sorry, we're going to have to double time it now, people.
Doing great.
Candace.
Candace, yay.
Can you guys all hear me?
I do.
Okay, I'm a little bit further away from my computer, so I just want to make sure.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, I'm having a really, really great day today. I've been getting a lot out of my sessions with my advanced practitioner, Jane.
Great.
So that has been really, really good. And yeah, I've just been working through some stuff that I thought I had worked through in the past, but that wasn't the case. So I kind of, like your work with Julia right now kind of triggered me in a good way.
Good.
Because thank you. Because for me, I thought a lot of my issues stemmed around my parents, and I had kind of worked through that. But the one person I kind of left out was my younger self. I'm just going to tap and talk now.
Beautiful.
So.
No rush here. That's it. No rush. We want to get this, all the benefit of this.
So kind of like for anyone else who is like really hypo and who really kind of has to push down the emotion.
Yeah.
For me, I'd get that energy and then I would do all of the things immediately. And my little self would be like, fuck this. Like, we're not letting you do this anymore because like you're wreaking havoc.
Right.
And we don't feel safe.
Right. Beautiful.
So self-sabotage, like all of those things would set in.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize like why I would burn out so easily, because like I'd get this rush of energy and then it would be like squashed immediately. But it was because I was like dragging this extra weight around, this little person who just wasn't being validated, or
who was so scared and so alone, right? Disconnected.
Totally.
Just wanting to be loved and just wanting to belong.
All of those things.
All of those things, yeah.
So I feel like right now it's been really good for me to kind of, I needed to take some time like away from doing the work with clients.
Yeah. Well, you're your own client, it sounds like. The most important one.
It's been also just really amazing. Even though I'm crying.
That's where our intuition comes in handy. Right? 'Cause you're looking at a person crying, but you're feeling like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful.
But yeah, like I didn't realize how numbed out I was until Amy, you talk about the thawing happening, and like your body does some weird things, but I was just happy to feel them, like just happy to experience that.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. And you really do get to a place where you're just so happy to be triggered because your feeling is you have such confidence, you know it's going to move through you and you know it's going to bring you more joy and happiness, not to speak of money. And so it's just like, yay, I'm so happy to feel this.
Yeah, it's like beyond words almost.
Yeah.
Even like crying in public, like 2 years ago, a year ago, this would have been like horrible for me. Like I would have gotten off this call and punished myself forever.
Yeah.
But just the fact of like releasing this is just, it also talks about the safety that I feel among all of you. And I also really just appreciate and love you all for that as well.
Yeah. it's really
good.
It's just amazing. It's like I'm a mess and I'm so happy.
I am. It's exactly how I feel. I'm a mess, but I'm totally loving it and like taking it in and just feeling it.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's always so, it amazes me how close, the one moment we're crying and the next moment we're laughing, right? Those two things are so close together. And it's just,
I've been getting such creative, like I'll go through these, like I've been going through these maybe once a day. But the creative juices that happen, like the things that come to me right after, it's just bizarro. Like it's actually like, I look forward to having a breakdown. I get my pen, like I'm holding my pen, I'm just like waiting for it, like, oh my God, I can't wait. Yeah.
It's true, right? That's the release and then the opening to the divine and the download.
Yeah.
And now, would you like something else?
Oh no, I'm good. Thank you everyone for the messages I'm seeing.
Yeah, that's right.
Lovely.
Yeah, I was gonna say, go check the chat line.
Brenda's got to leave, so we'll let her say her piece here.
Okay, where'd Brenda go? Thanks, Candace.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I have to be honest, I'm struggling right now to keep my energy.
Yeah.
I probably need to eat, so I love everybody's energy, and it's just so wonderful to see all the growth, everybody.
Yeah.
It's been a long day. Nothing about that, Nancy. It was a great mentoring session. It just feel like I haven't stopped all day. I did have a question. I had a situation happen during a session where I started becoming ill. And it really, I don't know if this happened to anybody. I started getting a headache. And so I was tapping under the table. It was like looking at myself in the Zoom and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, the client probably sees that I'm not doing well. And it was the weirdest thing. It was like one side of my eyebrow, and it didn't matter if I tapped or what. It didn't seem to change the intensity.
Yep.
And I just kept telling myself, I can do this. I'm going to be safe. I'll get through this. And it was horrible. I ended the sessions safely. I thought I was going to be so sick. I had some kind of a reaction. But but I just wondered if anyone had any thoughts if you have that experience where you start to feel sick. At first I thought maybe I'm just feeling a bit stressed, but it wasn't anything to do with the work. I had a allergic reaction, and
let's just differentiate. So do you think this was your energy, or do you think it had something to do with the work you were doing with the client?
no, I think it was my energy.
Your energy, okay.
Yeah, and I was trying to stay like really in my seat and not bring it, like have it come up in the session,
Right.
which was really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So strategies to manage that?
Like I'm wondering, like, should I have said, you know what, I'm going to need to end. I'm not doing well and I'm going to have to go. But it just it didn't feel right to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is an option because we're human beings. This happens to human beings. And so how would you do that in the moment? You would say to your client, you know, I'm so sorry. I'm realizing that I'm not being present here for you the way I want to because I'm having these physical symptoms. You do your best to make sure that they're in a safe place. And then you'd also kind of quickly make a plan, you know, like I'll email you and we'll set our next session or something so that the connection is still there. So you're not just abandoning and rejecting, but then, yeah, you would go and take care of yourself. That's certainly a viable alternative. Or as you did, you know, you're evaluating, you know, am I present enough? Am I offering value here? What's the best for me to do? So that's also a viable option.
I mean, it definitely, I could tell it was taking up a lot of my energy at staying present. And I was like, why is this not going away? Like I'm tapping like a fiend under the table.
Right.
And it just seemed to get worse. Yeah, like I'm like, but no, I kept kind of like, part of me was like, no, you can do this. The other part was like, what are you doing? This is ridiculous. Go lie down. Like,
and then at some point, you know, you might be holding that tension between these two parts, right? The uncertainty. I'm not quite sure. Should I stay? Should I go? And then at some point in time, it may become clear, right? No, I need to go, right? And so, you know, have one strategy and then have it mutate into the other strategy. That's fine too.
Right. Yeah.
But, you know, for certainly that there's been times when I've had a client personally, you know, in-person session and I've had to leave. Right? So this is life.
Yeah, I think it would be okay if it was the client, but as a practitioner,
and we're just,
but we're human,
and we're just, you know, we aspire to be present.
Yeah.
We're not always present.
No.
We do our best to be present. You know, we sneak away from our stuff before we start the session. We tap during the session. We're doing the best we can, but we're not going to reach perfection. We're going to, as Julia taught us, we're going to do the best we can.
Yes.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. You're heading off to get something to eat? Yes.
Yes. Thanks.
Beautiful.
Take care, guys.
See you soon. Where are we, Corby?
Sandra.
Hi, everybody. I don't have a question. I can just say that because I had my mentoring session today, and it's been fantastic for getting all those questions answered and so specific to what comes up in the sessions, and it's really, really helpful. So I'm very thankful for the mentoring sessions. Yeah, I've been like everybody juggling those case study notes, man. They're tough. And but I also just came to like, all I can do is the best that I can do. And then when I came to that point, it was just get it down, I take little breaks, and you just get it down. And then once you lay it down once, it's kind of like a template. So it gets a little easier. But man, sometimes those sessions, they're just so rich. There's no way that you can really capture and convey all of it. And yeah, I think that that's my dominant feeling right now, is like kind of still blown away about the power of what we're doing here and what we're learning. I honestly I felt a few days, like, how some of you guys talked about having a high after a really good session. I secretly thought I possessed a superpower. Honest to God, I felt like I had, oh my God, like what I wrote about when I went to, when I was teaching presentation skills, and that woman, like in 2 minutes, she just totally transformed her state of being. It was just magical to observe, just magic. And I felt so happy for her to be able to be present and get the most out of the course. But really, the biggest thing right now is I got really triggered about the pay conversation. Currently, way back when I first put out there that I needed clients, my family and friends put out some feelers, and some people came thinking, oh, it's pro bono, I'll sign on. So because I had to pace myself in how many people I could take on at a time, I'm just now taking on another pro bono client. And I was feeling like some resentment, because there's another part of me that's moving on already and
absolutely
starting to charge. And even though in the conversation I was charging $25 an hour, because that was my comfort level of like, at this level of proficiency, here's what I feel okay charging. And now when I heard you just say, oh, well, if you don't charge enough, you're asking your clients to hold your stuff for you. Oh my God, I nearly wanted to really just upchuck when you said that, because it's kind of like,
I get it.
It's like, oh my God, I am expecting the clients. Yeah, Patricia's like, what? No, honestly, it made me feel ill.
Yes.
Because like this self-recognition of how I have been expecting people by, they're needing to hold my insufficiency.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I feel really bad about that now.
So beautifully said, yeah.
I feel so bad about it. And so then I went through this whole thing of like, but this client who I'm just bringing on now, maybe I should charge her something nominal just so that there's an energy exchange. And then it's like, but she understood that the contract was X, so I should honor that, and I'll just have to really use this as a learning for me to understand that don't do that anymore.
And to recognize, right, and the reframe would be, oh my gosh, this is the tuition for this learning. I needed to learn this. This is the tuition.
I know. Okay, I own that. I own it. But honestly, looking at my own insufficiency as a mirror, this as being a mirror of my insufficiency is kind of, making me a little ill, but it's okay. I'm okay with it. I need to. I was going to use this. This is just heads up, Corey. This was what, Corby, this is what I was going to bring to, sessions with the advanced practitioner for sure. The hospitals, working in the hospitals has drummed it into me. We can't afford more than this. We can't afford more than this. And so I have been at the same rate of pay for years, thinking, well, it's a hospital, right? It's a, service. I'm being of service. And I feel, now I'm feeling a little like, anyway, not okay with it, but it's, I don't know yet how to move through it, but I'm pretty sure that Corby will help me.
Thank you.
Yeah, money's a big one to go through. And remember, we're only at where we know. When I was even the director of HR, they would ask to give me a raise and I would refuse it because I didn't think I was worthy enough. Like, I look back now and it's like, oh my God, I did that. And they're like, none of the guys would do this.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
No. So this is big for me, and it feels good that it's up.
Yeah.
Even though it feels bad, like just like other people, you know, like Candace, you laughing
I
and
feel
crying.
bad and so happy.
You know, I just love it. It's just like, bleh, it's on the move, right? Like, let's deal with it, because now we got the tools to do it.
Beautiful.
So I am excited about it.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's me out.
Yay, that's good.
Where are we at here, Courtney?
I think we have Patricia, Tanis, and Georgia. Is that correct? Did we miss anybody else?
Let's
You
go,
guys are hanging
Georgia.
in there.
Let's go, Georgia, because I think, Georgia, you were last time.
Julie was last time. Georgia, sure.
It's all
You're on the
good.
floor.
We're all here. Yeah, so what's going on? Gee, well, I'm enjoying the mentoring immensely. I'm enjoying the case studies because it's putting a good perspective on it. It's allowing me to dig a little deeper. The AMET session guide was, Jesus, it's brutal, but I was, because it's absolutely the kind of stuff
Right.
that I am not that obedient to address all those points, and don't ask me.
Right.
I'll tell you what I can tell you. And, you know, because seriously, I think that's really way over the top, but maybe it's meant to be.
Yeah. Cover the bases, right?
Yeah. And I suppose, like, if I wrote something about every sentence in that, we'd be 47 pages per session.
That's
So
not
anyway.
Not the expectation.
Yeah. Glad to know it, because I decided to ignore it. Yeah, I'm essentially flipped out because I had intended to reduce my work hours, and yeah, that's not happening. My job description keeps expanding every day. And so, anyway, I'm juggling, and, you know, you can't resent the people who pay your rent. And I figure I'm going to stick with them till the end of July and say it's time to get me out of here by the end of August, and hope like hell I can, you know, get a small contract or something.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's what I'm fretting over that.
Oh. Is that helping?
It's not. But it is helping me to see that, yeah, worked with a nonprofit agency for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Not the best strategy in the world.
So but there's downsides, right?
Yeah. So
so why don't you take a little time that you don't have, but you know, when you're in the bathroom or sometime, and just whoop this whole thing.
Yes.
Rather than fret, whoop it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea, because then I can actually give them my notice, my official notice.
Yes.
I said I'd give them as long as I can, and they really want 6 months.
Yeah.
So.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, yeah, here I go. I'm going to whoop that sucker.
Whoop that sucker, yeah. Thanks, Georgia.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Patricia.
I'm awake.
Yay.
Whoa, rolling away. I am loving everything right now. Loving and hating it, but loving it. It's been great. I've come up with a whole lot of parts work.
Good.
I've my next step is working on procrastination, because session notes, oh my gosh, session notes. But somehow I found it in me to write 7 memos to different parts of me. actually started working on an org chart today, which I told myself I wasn't going to do until later in the week, but I did it today, and I'm organizing this identity, or this entity that lives within me, called Patricia Inc. And all the members of this team. I cannot believe the difference. I haven't yelled at anybody. I haven't broken anything. And I haven't, wanted to cut people out. And that, to me, is huge. What is also equally interesting is that my body is sneaking up on me every now and again. When I'm doing these, like, hey, emotionally, I'm really good. Guys, let's have a conversation. We're happy. But then the next thing I know, out of nowhere, my body's like, oh, you're not going to be able to move your neck for the rest of the day. And I'm like, where did that come from? So that's interesting.
That's the thawing piece, right? Very nice. Yeah.
That's really interesting. But I'm happy that I'm able to work through all of those parts.
Beautiful.
Without being a psychopath. Whether it's like, super angry or super sad or whatever it is, it's just great. It's great. And
because it's not ourself.
Yeah.
Whether it's super angry, super sad, it's not ourself.
Yeah.
It's just a little part of us.
Candace, I totally understand what you're saying. I walk around with my tablet all day. It's really weird. And the creative juices that are coming into or coming out of me every time there's something big that moves is just like I'm jumping up and down. And I've got like 2 workshops, like content written, put together, organized, and I'm not ready to do them yet. But they're there. And it's like, I was really afraid of how all that was going to come together in the beginning.
Very nice. Thank you.
It's amazing.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
Yes, you've hung in.
Yes.
Are you calling on me, or is Flo?
She had a question. How does pain relate to thawing?
Easy, because the body was frozen and now it's not, so it can feel pain.
I find that fascinating. So it's so interesting that you mentioned that, Patricia, and that you then asked that question, Flo, because it's like something that I've been experiencing, right? Like last call I had mentioned my left side, so it just seems like a lot of stuff is happening on my left.
Yeah.
And so
yeah, it's another way to say that would be, if we're frozen, we're dissociated from the body. We're not in the body. So we have no awareness of any of the pain and the sensations in the body. So as we start to thaw those parts and we start to come back into the body, then we start to feel the pain in the body. It's a good thing. It's an excellent sign.
And so not even just the pain, it's like even just the reactions, right? Like, because I was going to say, as part of my little update and what's going on with me lately, I watched, I don't know if any of you have heard of that thing on Netflix. It's called The Dirt, and it's like it's a kind of a movie or whatever about the band in the 80s and had their crazy lifestyle, Motley Crue. And anyhow, I mean, it's a funny, interesting show to watch, but at the end, there's some very real stuff that happens for one of the members. And it was about his child. And I was so triggered in that moment watching, that I automatically began, tapping. Like I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm going to tap, like even with my husband sitting on the couch beside me, I didn't care.
Right.
And so that was powerful for me because it's taken me a little while to get to the point where I felt like, I don't care if you're here. I'm just going to tap.
Right.
I regulated myself in the moment, and of course I was emotional, so there's the crying. But the next day, in the morning when I woke up, I had something separate from that happened with my daughter, and it just automatically brought back that fear that was highlighted from that show.
Yeah.
And I found myself, I totally celebrate this, so I don't want you guys to think that it was a sad or negative thing. It was actually fantastic because I had this trigger and I went after it in the moment and allowed myself to go through it, move through it, like bawl like a baby.
Yes.
And let those tears flow, and then it just calmed and it felt so much better. I don't think I got to the wee specific little nugget, but it was just powerful to go there for myself because I've not been practicing much on myself.
Yeah. And so to allow the feeling in the moment without freezing it, without shutting it down, without distracting it but just be there with it right in the moment.
Yeah. And to feel the motivation to want to do it. Yeah. Like that's huge because
real shift around what used to be most important to me was to hide so that I could maintain this facade that I've built so carefully. And that's no longer the most important to me. What's most important to me now is to be as authentic and to feel as good as I can feel. And if that means that I'm tapping while somebody else is there, so be it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. But it's interesting, the physical aspect, because I'm definitely feeling that a lot right now. And I was just going to say, like, I've been quite preoccupied in the last couple of months because it seems like there's been a lot of traveling. It was, Harness, Mastermind, and then there was Discover, and now I'm getting ready for Steve Wells. So I'm so pumped about it. But I'm looking forward to when I get a little bit of a longer period of time where I can actually hopefully focus more on like creating my vision for my business and then putting myself out there more, because my desire is actually quite like pretty strong to want to like put myself out in my community. I have not done it yet. And I really want to, ask for those paying clients. I feel like Sandra, like I was kind of getting to the point where I'm like, I'm over taking pro bono.
Good.
So I look forward to hopefully having some actual, like, more time to do that. I do have a question, Nancy. I'm going to try and do this very, very quickly. Okay.
Okay.
I have a friend whose father just passed away, like literally 24 hours ago. And her mother has used tapping in the past, but definitely not to what we know tapping to be at EFT. I'm not going to be trying to, practice on her, take her on as a client, but I'm wondering how soon would you, I would like to actually offer to her to give her name to you for you to use for learners as a client to practice on. Does that make, like, I'm not going to do it, but can I refer her to your pool of resources so that she can benefit from?
Absolutely. You can refer her right to the NEFTY practitioner directory. So you could go to the website, find the directory, copy the link, and just give her the link. And so she can directly contact the people who are on the practitioner directory. That would be the fastest and easiest for her.
Yeah. Okay. And is that something that you would recommend when somebody is like new to a form of grief, like right off the hop. She's, you know, she's dealt with a husband who, like this lady, yeah.
Well, it would depend, right? Because, you know, grief is a normal human reaction, right? And so if the grief is moving along, you know, step by step by step, it may not get to the place where she even wants to do any tapping, right? But it also may be there's places where other grief that is stuck is getting triggered with this latest loss, and in which case she's not functioning as well as she would like to. So, you know, I think maybe a kind thing to do would be to say, you know, if I'm connected to a lot of people who do this kind of grief work, and when you're ready, I'd be happy to refer you to someone. And then you can leave it up to her about when she's ready. Right?
Have you ever taken on a client when their grief is so raw and so new?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've taken people like...
Yeah, and in that case, it's all in the here and now. Like, we're not looking for any limiting beliefs or none of that. It's just about, what's this like for you? What's this experience like for you right in this moment?
Yeah.
You know, it's about, like, I don't know how to get the clothes to the funeral home, or, you know, it's those practical pieces that we're just tapping through. It's a lot of tap and talk.
Mm-hmm.
And just holding the space for the grief. Yeah, but it's definitely not deep work.
Yeah. Can I add one of my clients, her husband, on the 27th of December, they were walking up the driveway and he dropped over dead. And so our sessions have gotten down to just a half-hour check-ins with just tapping, talking, and just helping her through that day. It's nothing more.
Yeah, it's more of a supportive coaching, tapping involved to keep the energy moving. Yeah, very helpful for people. Very helpful. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Janice. I think Flo had a question, and then we'll end.
Yeah.
Oh my God, marathon.
Yes. She had a question whether, can you go into hypo by going into pain to escape, like your head is blowing up so you don't have to think or feel what you can handle or what you can't handle?
Oh, so the pain is already there, and the pain is so intense that you then go to hypo to shut the pain down.
Yeah. Come out, Flo. Yeah.
You were, can you hear me?
Yep.
You were speaking about that pain is a sign of thawing. And I was wondering if it could be a sign of the opposite. Could be a sign of going into hypo in the sense that when you can't handle anymore, your head blows up, and that's you're going into hypo.
Yeah, absolutely. Then that's your dissociation. It's the opposite, right? So
okay. So it could be either or.
Either or.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Because I had experience of that, but I didn't have experience of the hypo. So I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah, and then when that person who's done that, you know, whose head blown up, and so they dissociate to be able to manage the pain, right? So there's a strategy. But when they start coming back into their body, then they're very likely to feel the pain of the body, and temporarily, right? It's not going to stick around forever. But yes, so going out and back into the body, right, it is in some way dissociating from those sensations. And so the sensations are going to come back because the body has sensations.
Okay.
Yeah, so it could go.
But it could be anything. It could be pain. It could be other sensations. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so just kind of quickly to wrap up again, I'm hoping tomorrow I'll get a chance to do, the monthly plan for months 7, 8, 9, and 10. But what I want you to know is that the crux of these months are the professional mentoring sessions with me and your advanced practitioner. So you've already got all of the information about that. So there's nothing new coming down the pipeline. But I want to create a suggested reading list for you to be able to pick and choose the book that you would like to read over these next 4 months. So I'll see if I can get that done tomorrow and then out to you. Okay, so if you're if you're working with your advanced practitioner now, great. If you're ready to start your mentoring sessions with me, just go right ahead, read those documents, find the link to my calendar, get yourself booked in, and just move on through. Don't wait till the start, some official start of something or other. What these last 4 months are about is you really taking this energy that we're all talking about tonight, taking this energy and moving it out into the world, right? Getting out there, starting to give our message, starting to gather our clients, addressing all these issues around charging people and all of those kind of things. So we are right on target. Oh my goodness, thank you, Corby, for holding the space with us.
I don't know if I did very well. My energy's pooped tonight.
Oh, I'm energized. I'm really looking forward to these next few days with Steve.
Oh yeah, me too.
Especially now that we found his luggage. It's like, oh, that's good. Totally. First we lost him in Dallas, and then we lost the luggage, but apparently it showed up today, so we're all set for a great few days.
Who's he flying with?
Well, he flew from Dallas to Toronto on Air Canada, but I don't know. Oh, Qantas. I think it was Qantas. Would that make sense? Yeah.
They're the best.
Yeah.
Not if they lose your luggage.
No,
I just wanted to call out very quickly. I'm going to post this in the Facebook group, but I had the idea today. I'm only able to make it to the workshop for Steve Wells, but if anyone else is also at the workshop, if we wanted to do lunch afterwards somewhere in the area close by, I would love to do that with you. So I'll pop it in the Facebook and we'll coordinate from there. Yeah. And
that's good, because I'd love for you to have a chance to chat this over with somebody who was also at the workshop. Yeah, I think you find that really, really valuable. All right.
See you guys Thursday, whoever we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see you. Good. See you in the Facebook group. So we don't have a call next Tuesday, right? Here's my calendar. Right. Not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after. All right. Keep those session notes coming.
Have a good night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.